I think that growing up, depending on our childhood, we didn't have the space to be wrong. That's a word. I'm gonna let that sit. I'm gonna let that sit. I'm gonna let that breathe for a little bit.
Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 go.
Hello, my darlings. It's Dion Dean. Welcome back to another video. You guys asked for it. So we are going to have a sit-down chat about life. And so today's topic is how to deal with overwhelm. And I don't know what the topic, I don't know what the title of this video is going to be. This is Charlotte Tilbury Magic Cream. So as I do my makeup, I'm going to the doctor today. As I do my makeup, we're going to talk just about some things that I'm going through with the expectation that it will help you guys in your process. Because one of the things that I learned from the last video that I did is that we are not alone. And so I hate that you guys are out there feeling like you're the only one. And so we're going to continue to do these videos. So today, overwhelm. That's what I'm feeling right now. That's what I'm going through. And I want to give you how I deal with overwhelm, or what I've noticed about myself during those times of being overwhelmed. So when you're overwhelmed, what I find is that there is a expectation of perfection. And so the reason why we're overwhelmed is because we're trying to get it right. Like we're trying to get whatever that thing is right. One of the things that happened this past week, and you guys know this, is that I got approved for POS shows. And this was something that I was preparing for. You guys know I'm always thinking of, getting my brows together with my Gucci powder. You guys can use whatever powder. You guys know that, I was preparing for when this happened. I was approved for whatnot. And of course I can always do an Instagram sale. But for me, I don't want to, I can't, I don't have, we're talking about overwhelm. I don't have space for learning something else. I just don't. I have Dion Dean Creative. Of course, I'm a mom, a wife, a caretaker or caregiver, an entrepreneur. For me to go and learn another app, it's just not for me. That being said, got approved for POS shows, and then I realized I have never done a POS show before. What the heck did I get myself into? So immediately in my brain, it was like, I need to get stuff. And you guys have seen, if you've seen my community, like I'm really trying to get from you guys what you, as far as sizes and everything, like what you guys want, what are the best times. And so I just find myself slipping into being overwhelmed. And it's because I want to get it right, right? When you're overwhelmed, when life overwhelms you, it's because you're trying to do 80 things right. And you know what? In some things you just need to show up. And that's what I realized with the POS shows. I don't have to get it right. This is my first POS show, and thank God I have you guys. Please show up. Because I'm like, suppose I do a show and nobody comes. Suppose I do a show and nobody buys anything. Suppose I do a show and Maverick knocks over the camera. I have all these racing thoughts. And it just started to overwhelm me. So I'm going to relax. What I think I'm going to do, I already have, items that I've thrifted that I haven't listed. I'm going to start there. I'm going to go through my inventory in the storage unit. Of course, I have like some bits and baubles that I purchased, and I've been sharing those on my social media and on the community. I don't have to be right. You don't have to be right all the time. It's not going to be perfect all the time. And for me, a lot of the times when I get overwhelmed is because I'm trying to get it right. I'm trying to get it perfect. I don't want to make any mistakes. And I think it comes from trauma. I think it comes from something. This is not therapy talk. I'm not a licensed therapist. I'm not a da-da-da-da. Okay, so take this as just my experience. I think that growing up, depending on our childhood, we didn't have the space to be wrong. That's a word. I'm going to let that sit. I'm gonna let that sit. I'm gonna let that breathe for a little bit. That's what I get it from. That's what I think for me. Growing up in a Caribbean household, my parents are extremely loving. My family's extremely loving. There was no hurt, harm, or danger that came my way. But there isn't expectation in a Jamaican household. that you're gonna get it right. Okay. We ain't gonna have no B's in this house. Ain't gonna be no A-minuses in this house. Ain't gonna be no 95s in this house. There's gonna be hundreds and A-pluses in this house. And so there was no space for, and I should, not in a mean way, but they just had this expectation. Like, what happened to, there's so many like memes of like Caribbean parents and African parents and Indian parents, Asian parents of, their child gets a 90. And it's like, what happened to the other 10? Right there. That was my parents. And so we just have this thing of, and I think education's that way too, right? You have to be an A student in order to get into this school, and you have to, look this way and to fit in society, and you have to have this, you have to have all these accolades. And so we're just so overwhelmed and frazzled and put in a corner. And I think that's where it comes from. So for me, lesson number one is just understanding. I say all that to say, for me, what I'm doing in this season is knowing that I don't have to do it right. I'm just going to do it. Doing it is doing it right. Like my thesis when I was writing my master's degree, and I was just like, oh my gosh, do I have enough sources? Do I have enough this? Do I have my lead professor was like, Dion, a finished thesis is the best thesis. And it freed me because I was like, it's never going to be, he's like, the work is never going to be done. That's why you're an academic, right? Because the work is never going to be done. Maverick's in here, just in case you hear him pitter-pattering around. So number one, let go of that need to be perfect, that need to be right, that need to get it right off the jump. It doesn't exist. It just doesn't. And I wouldn't say this to Riley, but a B is still passing. And if right out the gate, your first time doing whatever, you get a B, then hey, the first time you get a C, the first time, I'm not saying something you studied. I'm talking about the first time out the gate, you get a D, hey, you passed. You logged on. You filled out that application. You got out the bed. Listen, sometimes getting out of bed is the A. Praise the Lord, saints. Sassy Siennas. So that's number one as far as overwhelm. Number two, a lot of overwhelm for me comes from looking behind and trying to correct the mistakes of the past. Okay, look at where I'm going in purple. Let me quantify that. I've been in the reselling game quite a long time. I actually started reselling in 2001 when eBay became a thing. But I've lived many lives within reselling, right? And you guys have been with me, especially if you've been with me since like Dallas, Chicago, whatever. You've seen many iterations of this resell game that I play. And of course, this is part-time for me. I may ramp it up as I prepare to go to England over the summer and just get some extra finances going in the house. But for most part, I launched Dion Dean Creative, so I can't put as much effort into what I'm doing with reselling. That being said, I have a lot of reel. I have a REEL. I have a lot of tape on this reselling venture. And I want it to be successful. I want whatever I do to be successful. Sometimes the overwhelm comes from the perceived mistakes that you've made in the past. So you're anxious and overwhelmed at, putting yourself out there in terms of resumes and interviewing and networking because you've done it before and maybe it didn't turn out the way that you wanted it to, right? You've dated, you've put yourself on dating apps, you've started going out and being more social in hopes that you would find a partner. You have just put yourself out there before and you have all this tape, you have all this reel, you have all this back knowledge of times when it did not work. So the thought of you going out there again, hell no. So you get overwhelmed. You're just like, oh my gosh, no, because I remember when I did this, and this, and it didn't work. And so that leads to overwhelm and anxiety. And so my tip for you with that would be to erase the tape. My pastor preached this once in Atlanta when I was living in Atlanta. The danger of a bad memory. That thing preached. It still preaches 20 years later. You have to erase the tape. You literally have to get, and this is why, and we're going to do something on journaling. You have to journal and write it down and get it out of your heart so that you can move forward. So when I mean erase the tape, those memories are always going to be there. Some of us have soul ties to bad situations, okay? Let's just put it there. We literally are tied to a bad memory, and you need to cleanse that. So what I would suggest is to write it down and just say, I'm scared because, I am overwhelmed because, my dog's butt is in the video because. No, in all seriousness, write it down, get it out, cry, have a good cry. It may take you may need to grieve. You may need to take off a couple days off of work, sweetie, and say, wait, there's something coming up in my heart and I need to deal with this so that I can move forward. You know, failed marriages, failed relationships, failed jobs, failed interviews, failed expectations. Take a day or two or a week and actually grieve those. Sometimes we move through things too quickly because we don't want to experience the hurt, or maybe we just don't have time to grieve. I know with me, I didn't have time. Listen, daddy passed, mommy got COVID, the ceiling fell, the roof had issues, we had busted pipes. I didn't have time to properly, and losing daddy during COVID is a whole other situation. I didn't have time to grieve certain things. Now that you're out of whatever it is, now you get to slow down, right? That's what my process is right now, is I'm slowing down. So take time to grieve all of that and then move forward. That's the part. Don't get caught in the grieving part, Chanel. I'm just like, Chanel. Take the time to grieve and move forward. You have to do the move forward part. I was terrified. I'm telling you right now, as much as I love you guys, and I know the live sale is going to be good. I know it is because I practiced in my mind, but I've never done it before. Who's not going to be scared? I've never done it before, right? It's scary going out there and dating. You know, you've been widowed. You had all these expectations for being with your partner, and then now you're single, whether it's divorce, so you're widowed, or like, what? You were raising your child or your children for how long, and now they're gone, and it's like, oh, hold on, I think I want to spend the rest of my life with somebody. Wait, I don't want to do this alone. Or you're single and you're realizing, you know, I don't think I want to be married, but I don't know what I want. And you are taking this trip alone by yourself. You didn't imagine yourself taking trips by yourself, but all of a sudden, and you're excited about it too. You're excited about going see the world. It's just like, did I book that ticket? Yes, you did. Go. All right. So number 3, as it relates to overwhelm, and this is in part, you know, journaling and getting it out. But just to reiterate, I think the third part is really, once you've identified it, to really move through it. I think a lot of times, if you're successful, again, let me go back to reselling, because this is where I am right now. As far as reselling, I can thrift, I can do a haul, I can do Poshmark. That's fine. I'm comfortable in that. Like, I'm okay. We're okay financially. I'm okay time-wise. I'm okay in where it sits with the vision for my life in terms of having Dion Dean Creative, having Dion Dean the brand, and having Dion Dean the part-time reseller. I'm okay with that. I don't have to push further. But I think part of that overwhelm is actually knowing in your nowhere that you're supposed to move further. And that's the part that's scary. So I think sometimes it's not overwhelm, it's anxiety and it's fear of the unknown. Because you know in your knower, all right, or whatever we want to call it, universe, spirit, whatever, there's something pulling at us to do something more, to go further. But we don't see it. And we don't see the success in it either. And we're like, I ain't launching out there. You crazy? So the third part is to say, you know what? I don't know if this is going to be successful. I don't know what, I don't want to apply for this job. I don't want to book this trip by myself. I don't want to go out and network and date. Like, I don't. But I'm going to do it anyway. That's it right there. Doing it anyway. So, short video. Well, it's not short. It's 14 minutes. But you guys said, the people have spoken, and you want to have these types of discussions, and I want to have them, because I think there are times when we think we're alone and we're not, and it takes us into a deeper depression thinking that we're the only ones. Honey, you are not the only one. I know people working with Dion Dean Creative that are multimillionaires that are working on something else to take their business to another level, and they're in the same space because they've never been there before. They're making $1 million, now they're pushing for 10. They're making 10 and they're pushing for 11. They're making six figures. They're making 100,000 and they want to make 200. And there's something that they need to do. There's a precipice that they're on, and they're like, I'm comfortable, especially you make $1 million. I'm comfortable over here, but I know, I feel it. I literally feel like there's something more I'm supposed to be doing, something more that I can accomplish. For you, do it. Do it. Don't attempt perfection. Just get it done. In the doing is when you're perfecting it. I know people that want to launch a YouTube channel, that want to get on Instagram, but they want to get it perfect right out the gate. Honey, I need to find my first video. I don't even think I looked at the camera. Just get it done. Just get it done. Anyway, I hope this has been a blessing to you. I need to get I know I'm going to the doctor, guys. I know you're like, this is what you do to go to the doctor. Listen, they expect a slay. I'm gonna give it to them. You know what I said? They expect to slam me, give it so much. I'm gonna get my edges together though. Love you guys so much. And please give this video a thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section, because I love to hear how this has impacted you. And if there are any other topics that you feel comfortable saying that you would like to talk about or hear from me or my perspective on, please leave it, and I will see if it's something that I'm comfortable speaking on or sharing with you guys. All right, love you guys so much. Bye.
I never ran, said no, man, I still go, go, go.